Namira was known as one of the most beautiful girls in town, despite coming from a poor family living in a small, cramped apartment. She had a perfect and glowing skin tone that other young women envied. Her bright smile could light up any room. A wealthy businessman named Julius took notice of Namira's beauty. Julius was considered a great catch as he was very rich and successful. Namira's parents were overjoyed when Julius asked to marry Namira, as they knew this would bring her a life of luxury. In the first years of their marriage, Julius spoiled Namira with expensive jewels, fancy furniture, and stylish clothes from the city's best shops. They lived in a huge mansion in the ritziest part of town, with lush green lawns and a fancy pool area. Namira was living out her dreams after growing up so poor. Other local girls gossiped with envy about her fairy tale lifestyle whenever she drove by in her luxury sports car. However, Namira's perfect life did not last. Julius's business struggled during economic recessions, and within a few years he went bankrupt and lost everything: the mansion, the cars, the company, and all his savings. Namira and Julius were left destitute, forced to move into a run-down, roach-infested apartment near the industrial part of town, the same kind of severe poverty Namira had hoped to leave behind forever. As the years went by in these decrepit conditions, with Julius unable to find success through manual labor jobs, Namira's admiration for her husband turned to furious resentment. How could he have squandered their riches so recklessly and condemned her to live in such humiliation and deprivation? The lavish, indulgent life she had grown so accustomed to was now just a cruel memory mocked by her surroundings. Namira became obsessed with finding a way to reclaim the opulent lifestyle she felt she deserved at any cost. If Julius could not provide those luxuries for her, she would have to find other means, no matter how depraved. One evening, after Namira had angrily berated the downtrodden Julius over their meager bowls of watered-down stew in their poor apartment, her eyes fell upon strange occult symbols crudely carved into the dirt wall. The markings triggered memories of long-ago whispers about a local voodoo priest who could summon boundless riches through ancient rituals, but at a supremely steep price. Overtaken by greed and blinded by her gnawing cravings for the lavish comforts she once knew, Namira sought out this priest in the town's decrepit underbelly and agreed to his cosmic bargain to undergo an unholy ritual to grow an unnatural money tree. But it required the most terrible of sacrifices: a human soul. The life of Julius had been demanded for the ritual. Namira was too blinded by greed and the fear of poverty. She fearfully agreed. Under the cloak of the next new moon, Namira followed the Bokor's ancient instructions derived from the dark arts. She entrapped the unsuspecting Julius in an intricate web of charms and arcane powders that rendered him unconscious. With a serrated bone dagger, she slit his forearm and drained his blood into a ceremonial bowl. When the rites were complete, the Bokor handed Namira a solitary golden orb, a diviner's seed that would germinate into the fabled money tree when planted under the next blood moon. She hastily buried Julius' lifeless husk in a shallow desert grave, showing no remorse as the first crimson tinges crept across the horizon. 3 nights later, as the blooded moon descended, Namira was awestruck to find an immense, bizarre tree composed of woven branches had erupted from the spot she planted the orb, its thick limbs hanging heavy with jeweled fruit that dripped not nectar, but a steady flow of crisp paper currency. Namira spent the next several days in a state of ecstatic avarice, binging on her new limitless riches. She bought back all the material comforts she had been deprived of and more. A new sprawling mansion filled with priceless antiques, art, and jewels. Chests of Parisian couture. A garage housing a fleet of luxury supercars. Namira was living in more luxury than she could have imagined. She was rolling with members of high society, making friends with music celebrities and sports superstars. Her splendorous wealth earned her the name the Dollaress as a result of her habit of spending the US dollars endlessly. She gathered millions of followers on social media. Namira was now a famous millionaire socialite. However, within the space of 23 months, Julius' restless, vengeful spirit began to make its displeasure known to the traitorous widow who had selfishly taken his life in such a profane manner. The haunting manifested in malicious poltergeist events like Namira's fine jewelry being violently scattered, her drinks upended in ectoplasmic torrents, and Julius' gruesome ghost unleashing ragged moans and accusations of greed whenever she hosted lavish parties. Namira tried to avoid entire wings of her lavish new estate, as Julius' incensed spirit would sweep through, maliciously clawing at her expensive gowns and priceless antiques. Nights were worse, with his enraged howls of anguish preventing any rest, leaving foul scents and ectoplasmic residues no amount of cleaning could remove. As the months wore on, the haunting only grew more aggressive and relentless, fueled by the sight of Namira callously flaunting and luxuriating in her blood-soaked fortune. No matter how much decadent opulence and grandeur she accumulated, her gilded domain remained an upscale demonic purgatory, her every waking moment tormented by the spiteful specter of the husband she had sacrificed on the twin altars of greed and vanity. Months on a row, she could not remember her last good night's sleep. Rumors were beginning to spread about the source of her wealth, and people soon began to avoid her. Namira's lavish riches had been regained at a ghastly cosmic price, one that eventually broke her spirit under the ceaseless haunting. Julius's ghost was driving her crazy. She knew she could no longer endure this ethereal torture, forever paying for her depraved sins against the man she once loved. There had to be a way out, a way to finally find peace and break this waking nightmare, even if it meant bartering with even more sinister supernatural forces. Trembling, Namira took out the old bronze amulet the evil voodoo priest had given her after the ritual to grow the money tree from Julius's blood sacrifice. She had dismissed it as a weird decoration before, but now the engravings on it seemed to glow with strange energy. Following the priest's instructions from an ancient book, Namira carefully arranged candles around the amulet on the floor in a precise pattern. As the last rays of sunset hit the amulet, shadowy shapes began swirling and twisting into a dark vortex. An enormous green snake-like female entity emerged, undulating through the air itself. It hissed in a raspy voice, calling itself Lady Serpentress. "You have summoned me across the void, greedy child. What profane bargain do you seek?" Namira fell to her knees, overwhelmed by Serpentress's powerful presence. "Great Lady Serpentress, please free me from my husband Julius's vengeful ghost. He won't stop haunting me after I took his life in that dark ritual for riches." The Serpentress's reptilian eyes narrowed as her forked tongue flickered out. "You have bathed in cosmic sins, but I can address this imbalance you created, but you must ready to pay the price." The serpent entity traced a spiral symbol on the floor that opened a shimmering rift. Humanoid figures of living metal began emerging, their featureless heads scanning with senses beyond the physical world. "Behold the interdimensional wardens," the Serpentress said. "Their psychic matrices can imprison unbound souls for all eternity, including your husband's restless spirit." On cue, Julius's ghost began wailing in anguished outrage, swirling in a maelstrom of ectoplasmic energy that hurled objects across the room. But the wardens precisely constricted the vortex with their liquid metal forms until Julius's essence compressed into a single point of psychic energy trapped permanently in their infinite matrices. The haunting fell mercifully silent. But Verliath turned to Namira with an unsettling look. "The specter's torment is ended, as you wished. However, it demands a price of its own for this resolution." A shadowy apparition coalesced, revealing Julius's furious ghost face. Namira, it howled in anguished tones. "You have ended my ethereal anguish through vile sorcery, but only by agreement to forfeit everything. Your wealth, your beauty, your youth, and one other loss I will not name." Namira felt her heart stop, but she raised her chin defiantly. "I care not for any cost, so long as I can live in peace." Julius's apparition grinned maliciously. "So be it, vain fool. Goodbye to your opulence and your vermilion tresses, your pearlescent skin, your lush, shapely form. And I also claim your—" The ghastly face dissolved before finishing the statement, as the warden snapped the spirit back into their metaphysical prison. Simultaneously, Namira felt a shocking transformation rippling through her body. Her luxurious jewels, finery, and riches turned to smoldering ash, her lustrous auburn locks faded into scraggly white, her porcelain complexion withered into leathery wrinkles, and most distressingly, her fertile, curvaceous figure became a gaunt, shriveled husk. Namira ran in horror to the nearest mirror. The beautiful, alluring visage that had bewitched so many was replaced by a haggard, corpse-like crone. She collapsed in despair, realizing the shallow cost of her sins. "You have sacrificed your vanity's idols," the Serpentress said dispassionately. "But there is one last condition the haunt spirit extracted before banishment." The serpent entity extended a coil and prodded Namira's withered belly. "It claimed your womb for itself, leaving you forever barren of any progeny. Your cosmic debt has been paid through total abjuration. Tears streamed down Namira's ravaged face as she understood the cruelty of Julius's departing torment. Her wealth, beauty, and fertility all traded away to appease the very evil she had birthed through sheer greed. In the years that followed, Namira was routinely turned away wherever she sought shelter, regarded as a useless, unsightly derelict. All her rich celebrity friends turned their backs on her. She was cancelled online and lost all her followers, with thousands trolling her all day. Only a distant convent of silent sisters finally took pity, allowing her to live out her days as a humble cloistered nun, never to be tempted by mortal vanity again. Her spirit broken, her visage a withered husk, Namira's final selfish currency of youth and beauty spent, she remained childless and alone. Such was the penance for the profane sins she had committed to reclaim transient luxury at the cost of her soul.
Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to our channel for even better stories to come, and feel free to drop your comments on the story. We will be responding to all your comments. We look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye bye.